Hi, everybody. This is Benita. Welcome to my November forecast. I'm sorry that it's late this month. I was working an event in Victoria on the weekend and got home, and life just happened, all kinds of stuff going on. So, finally getting around to bringing the November forecast to you. And we're starting off with most of the die on the mat. A couple decided to leave. So, we know that they're not important for us to work with this particular time. We are going to start off looking for our alchemist die, and we actually will start off with our chaos die because a lot of times it will change what happens on the mat. So when we look at the chaos die, the face that is up in its under future is what looks like a little cat. It might not be a cat. I think it's actually a dumpster fire. It looks like a cat to me. So, of course, sometimes if you have a cat that's a really challenging cat, it might be a dumpster fire. It is a dumpster fire. So it says when dumpsters are on fire, you know something apocalyptic is happening. Or it's just a Tuesday. It actually said this in the book. Hard to say when the dumpster fire comes to play. Says the die nearest this die shouldn't be touched or interacted with. Interesting. Okay. Um, if you go near it, interact with it, try to change it, you'll get burned. You were warned. So it's basically saying that this other die, which shows up in the future, is one we shouldn't mess with. So we'll see how that plays out. That's a bit on the vague side, but it will probably make more sense as we go. So if we go to our actions die, which is our first die to work with, and it is showing up. Okay, it's showing up under inevitable. And we have this little figure, if you guys can make that out, that shows up under inevitable, and it's transformation. So it's this die face speaks more than anything to something occurring within yourself. In this way, it's one of the more passive faces, usually relates to a process already occurring. So when you think about it, everything we've been working on for the past year, it's just saying transformation is inevitable. And one way of looking at it is you either work with the transformation that's coming your way or you fight it all the way. Either way, the universe is going to take you where it's going to take you. It just depends on how do you want to deal with that? Do you want it to be as pleasant as possible? Do you want it to be extremely difficult? There's always going to be difficulties, but I always put it this way. If you're fighting the difficulty, you are adding pain to your pain, and we don't want to do that. Another way of looking at it is whatever the work is that's coming up for you right now. You've got to do it. You got to do it in this lifetime or the next. You might as well do it this time around instead of having to do it later, possibly with more karma. So that's another way of looking at it. This is the work that's in front of you. Get to it, get it done. Life will get easier if you do the work being presented to you. If you fight it, you're just going to have to do it. Only the universe tends to up the ante and give you more powerful issues to deal with until you finally do the work. So you can do it when it's subtle, or you can wait till it's knocking you over before you do the work. I suggest subtlety is probably a gentler way to go. Okay, so that's that dice. And when we look at the alchemist die, it's showing up here under present. And the one we have is lead, so it looks like that. Now you're probably seeing it backwards, but bear with me. So it's basically saying is this is a things that have worked to create gold and alchemy, things that must be worked. Lead is the base stuff that life is given. Raw form is dangerous, carries with it a thoughtful sweetness. If worked, it can become your riches. So it's saying in the present, this situation could could take you into that transformation if you will work with it. It might be raw material right now. It might be a really difficult situation you're dealing with. But if you face it, if you acknowledge it and deal with it, then it's going to lead to a powerful transformation. So face it now. So the alley die, we actually have the alley men card influencing our spread this time. And it challenges us with challenges you with your own certainty. It says nothing in life is preordained to fate in the stars. The answers you seek are the answers you already hold. There's wisdom in being the voice in your head, the one that urges you forward when you made the right call in not needing affirmation to stand firm in your beliefs. In other words, it's saying this is not about getting somebody else's go ahead to do this work. This is your work to do. So do the work. Sometimes we don't want to step into the unknown. We don't want to do the difficult work because we want, safety in company. We want other people to join us. And if we have some of the work to do, we've all seen those movies where somebody's on a quest and they bring all their friends along. And then the pivotal point in the movie, they say, the next part I have to do alone. And off they go to complete the quest. It's great to want company and validation, but there are going to be points in this work where it can't be about, is everybody in agreement about me doing this? Again, it's your journey. You just have to do it. And you know what I mean. All right. So our alley die this time. Let's see where it's sitting. Doo-doo-doo. I wonder if it's one of the ones that jumped off the mat. We might have to come back to this one. Yes, it did jump off the mat. So we don't have to deal with that one. We got the card, but not the dice. Okay. Attentions die. And the attentions die this time. It might also, oh, yeah, it is on the mat. And what it is, it's a person in the light. And that looks like this. Hi, Tanya. I appreciate you guys joining me today. Thank you. I see you all there. So we have the attention die, and it's kind of going from momentum into inevitable. And it's it says spotlight is what so many want to be seen by everyone. It's also the horror of the very thing of being known. It's to be the center of attention, but also know that people you've never met who don't know you now know of you. So it's basically the vulnerability as you do this work of realizing others are going to be paying attention. You can't go off into a cave, have a transformation, and come back this deified being. Things might get messy and other people might witness that. And we're all social creatures and we're not meant to do this all on our own. So get over yourself, get over your ego wanting you not to stumble and fall on your face. Chances are at some point in your journey, you're going to have to. But remember that we all do. So maybe be a little gentler with yourself and remember that when you're so worried about what everybody else is thinking of you, they're all navel gazing too. They're all thinking about, oh, what if I screw up? So don't worry about it. If you can screw up and laugh at yourself, you give other people permission to be human too. So that's one way of looking at it. All right, we are at the autumn die. Oh, I've never seen this face before. I love it when a dice shows up that I've worked with, but never that face. So this one is a wagon and it's showing up under the present, and that's it right there. And it's called The Journey. So it says in the reading, now that you've ended this long process, it's time to see what you've made. This can be all the work put towards receiving a promotion at work, towards fulfilling creative work that's taken a great deal of time, overcoming a difficult trauma or grief, or finishing the build on something difficult, or a literal return home from a journey abroad. So it's showing up in the present. And remember, the other die showing up in the present that we've dealt with so far is the lead, where it's talking about sometimes something's really hard and basic, but it builds towards that transformation. So everything about the present is taking all the work we've been doing over this past year and going, okay, I can see now how the journey is coming together and moving me toward that transformation. It's sort of coming to a holistic understanding of where this journey is taking you. The next one we did the chaos die, and it's basically saying don't go anywhere near the other dice that's sitting there under future. We'll see what that has to do. And it might just be something you can let go of and not take into account in the journey. It might not be relevant to what we're working on right now. So we've got a bunch of die all sitting in a triangle in the past. And the first one we're looking at is the soul. That looks like that, like a little heart. And it says it's about the human identity, its identity and permanence, our human capacity to love. So that's basically, since a community, that's what that means. So we'll see how it relates to the other two die that are paired with it as we go. And our fate die. Oh, yes, we want to look at that. 'Cause that could actually change something about the spread. And I'm actually looking and thinking the fate die got off the mat too. It's not included, so we don't have to worry about that one either. And that can be really pivotal. So the sense I'm getting, because the fate die didn't show up and the chaos die is having sort of a minimal effect here, it's like everything is coming together, everything's coalescing into a change. It's less erratic than things started off at the beginning of the year. The pieces are starting to come together in a cohesive whole. The goblin die. Okay, where is the goblin die? I'm wondering if that one got thrown off the table as well. And I just, oh no, I see it. I see it. It is also under inevitable. And it is a quill for writing. And it says writing and reading often speaks to of our need to mindful completion of tasks, taking our time and doing things by hand. So isn't this interesting that under inevitable, we have transformation and completion of task? In other words, it's saying that everything you're going through is inevitable and it's going to come to completion. So you can either be along for the ride or fight it all the way, but it's going to happen. One way of looking at it is that we're all, hi, Chelsea, thanks for joining me. Uh, we're all heading toward that enlightenment, that final realization. It's inevitable that we will wake up. How soon and how easily we do it depends on whether or not we fight the experience or we go with it. So if you're going about your day and something difficult comes up for you, you can either go, why me? And really feel upset or angry about your situation. Or you can say, how is the universe working for me? It's providing me this situation. What's it triggering that I now get to look at that I would never have seen about myself had this not been triggered for me? So if we see everything as conspiring to bring us together for greater awareness, we might stop looking at things from a victim point of view and more from an opportunistic point of view. What is the opportunity here? I mean, opportunistic in the nicest way. What's this opportunity here? What's being presented to me for me to learn about myself? Right? So it's saying the journey's going to happen anyway. Might as well be along for the ride. Okay. The influences die. This is the one. Remember how I said in the past we have these three die together? You can see them here. So that one was the soul. The influences die is this, I don't know, it's kind of a sinister looking smiley face. So let's see what it's all about. It's a smile at its best speaks to people trying their best, even if what they give you is useless. So the way I look at that is we're now reconciling our past by bringing our soul to it. One way I look at that is if somebody in your past, maybe your parents, were difficult people in your life. I believe that we are born to the families that plant the seeds for the things we came to work on in this lifetime. So at soul level, our parents chose to play the roles they did with us to cooperate with the intention we placed about the things we came to work on in this lifetime. So if you came to work on something really difficult and you had maybe overpowering parents, but you came here to learn about the extremes of power so you could find a way to use power intelligently and compassionately out of love for you, they would have cooperated and taken on that role, even if it meant that at some point you would push them away. It's a different way of looking at things. So it's seen at soul level, people are doing the best they can, and they're providing us again with opportunities. Okay, the kindness die is a present being held, and it's sort of on the edge of future and fated. So that's the one that looks like that. And it says in a reading, it announces itself. Either it's something you've graciously gifted to another, or it may be the need for you to do so. Um, so in other words, it's about the thankless favor, giving without expectation. And this is again the really interesting thing about finding this under inevitable. It's saying transformation is inevitable. You've got to complete the task. But what's kind of tied into it is altruism. Are you willing to give of your energy? Because when we're in victim mode, we think everything's happening to us. We get very guarded. We guard our energy. We guard our interactions with others. We put up walls. And this is about allowing your energy to flow to others, seeing where there's a need, or even just feeling the desire to offer energy and going, here you go, without an attachment to getting anything back. We can do that when we're coming from the fullness of ourselves, when we've done enough work to know we contain the universe, to know we are abundance. We can offer energy freely without demanding it back, just trusting that the universe is in a state of abundance. And if we need that energy back at some point, it'll come back to us. We just have to be open to it. And it might not be from that person. So if you give and you have any expectation back, you haven't really offered a gift. So think about it. Okay. The longings die. So the longings die is sitting under beyond, and it's this mask. So it's the desire deeply held by many of us to be away of things from people, to not be known, to be hidden, to be away from ourselves. So it suggests to me that as we do this work, maybe the next layer of the onion after we've completed this year or this cycle is to start to look at, where do I still wear a mask? Where am I being inauthentic? Where am I wanting to hide part of myself from people and not be vulnerable? That doesn't mean you have to walk around just open to everybody. We have to have discernment. But if you're blocking part of your energy and yourself from the people you're closest to, that's something to be aware of, because how do you build a deep connection if only parts of you are up? How can you bring all of yourself to a relationship if you've kept some parts tucked away? So it's about moving into more and more authenticity. Need a little sip of tea here. Oh, that's good. I stayed at well, Tillman and I stayed at the Pendray in Victoria, and when I was doing the psychic fair, and they had this incredible black lavender tea, and I had to buy a canister of it. It's amazing. It's like somebody made you black tea and then sprinkled some fresh lavender in it. It tastes that good. Okay, so our next one, the Major's die. So the Major's die is showing up as this little balloon under fated. It speaks to the extremities of joy as it comes to us in short bursts, so euphoric experiences. So, under fated, it's saying you're going to have moments of euphoria. One of the things we want to remember when we're doing the spiritual work is, if you go deep enough in meditation, you're going to experience samadhi. And as somebody who's had those experiences, yes, it's incredible. You feel transformed. You feel connected to the entire universe. You feel filled with bliss. It's amazing. But you got to come out of it at some point. It's not the final goal. It's just along the way, you're going to have experiences. There's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. Take them for what they are. See if you can enjoy. I know this sounds weird. See if you can enjoy the lows as well as the highs from the standpoint of, I'm learning from this. I'm growing because of this. Oh, the universe is giving me this opportunity to dig into this. What's this bringing up for me? If you can do that, you'll get more out of life. Because if you're just seeking pleasure, you're never going to be happy, because pleasure is very short lived. If you're seeking meaning, You can go through a lot of things because you know what you're doing is leading you to something that matters to you. So it's saying, yeah, there will be pleasure. That's fated, but don't attach to it too much. All right. The mariner's die sits under fated and kind of scoots a little bit over onto the past. So that's the mariner's die. Hold it up close. You can see it's kind of like a knot. And it's called knot. Um, so it says this particular knot is used as a cushion to keep pulleys from bashing their surroundings. But purpose gives way to form here, and this knot is an intricate design formed by just one single piece of line, as most knots are. So it's basically taking a straight line and transforming it into function. So because I see it under fated, but kind of nudging into the past, it's reminding you this is a cycle. You're going to go through a transformation. And then it'll be time to peel the next layer off the onion. Deal with either the same stuff from the past from a different angle or deeper, or other stuff from the past that will then inform the next cycle of your awakening. So it's saying this is not a straight line. It's not linear, this journey. It's a spiral path. You're going to keep coming back to things. So every time you pat yourself on the back and go, I'm done with that now, there's going to come a point where you're going to be like, really? Am I really happy to deal with this again? Yes, you are, because there's deeper layers. So whenever people say, well, I'm glad I got rid of that part of my personality, or I'm glad I ended that relationship, well, that's all well and good. But every part of you has a right to be on your path. Every part of you, if it becomes conscious, will be a valuable part of you and will contribute to your path. If you walk away from a relationship, a career, a spiritual path, and you haven't shifted internally, you'll be out of the frying pan into the fire because your unconscious patterns will naturally put you in the same scenario again, possibly worse, until you turn inside and do the work. So, spiral path. Metamorphosis die. Okay, this is the one that we were told is a dumpster fire not to touch it. I'm touching the dice. Let's see here. It is the chrysalis. I know that one's really, really hard to see. Trust me, it's pretty, but it's hard to see it up close. So this is actually, it's not the chrysalis, it's the eclosion, which is the butterfly emerging from the chrysalis. And it says, it's the moment after the long change, the transmutation of self. You're now in a new place, a new state of being. The world can see what you've done. I got it. I know what this is about. When we're going through a big change, it can be very easy to kind of stop and congratulate yourself. Oh my God, look at what I've accomplished. This is amazing. And then your ego can attach to that and stop you from going further. I've arrived. I'm done. I'm good. And that's the problem is you really want to keep doing the work. Again, always more layers. Don't attach to finishing the journey. Don't attach to achieving a certain level. Instead, stay with the meaning of what you're doing. Stay with meaning. In what way am I growing because of this experience? How can I deepen my understanding? How can I deepen what I offer others? Can I keep growing from what's going on? Don't stop at the stop sign and think you've arrived. Okay, there's always another turn. Okay, the obstacles die. Where is the obstacles die? Okay, so that one is under the present and it's showing up as a clock. So that's what we're looking at. And it says yet to come. In a reading yet to come, views time as the thing keeping you from things you want. As explicitly as a barrier as a barrier as it can be. Things are not yet in the right place, so nothing's quite ready. So this is really interesting because when you look at these three die, it's saying you're dealing with something that's very base and needs to shift and change to contribute to that transformation. And it's saying that, you're coming to that part of the journey, you're coming to the end of the journey. But this is saying yet to come. In other words, it's saying in the present, don't rest on your laurels. Keep going. Keep doing the work. Don't get attached to finishing it. It's never finished. You're eternal beings having many human experiences. So just work with what's in front of you now and stop looking for when do I get to the end. That's a very frustrating place to go, and it's a defeatist place to go. There's always more. And why wouldn't you want to keep growing? It's exciting, it's interesting. So, yeah, let go of getting done. Okay, and our next die is the relations die, and I'm looking for it here. And it's not on the mat, so it's got to be somewhere on the floor. And oh, no, there it is. But it's, yeah, not on the mat, so we don't need to look at that one. Skipping the die. So the spring die is a seed, and it shows up under history. And it says, this seed, the depiction of this face is a seed beginning its growth. So too is its message. When this face comes up in a reading, it speaks to something being started fresh from the start. So, in other words, it's saying, you're not done with your history. There's more to be learned from it. So don't bury it. Like you can bury a seed, but it's going to sprout, it's going to grow. So remember that this is not about being done with the past. This is about growing from it. I always like to put it this way. Everything you experience is your training in the gifts you're meant to offer others. So we don't want to go, "Phew, glad that's over with." It's just, okay, maybe at the moment it's not my primary focus, but if it comes up again, I'm going to welcome it. I'm going to go, okay, what else is there to be learned from this? What else can I glean from my past experiences? How can I support the parts of me, like the patterns, for example, that were created to help me cope in the past? That might need my support now to help them become conscious. And once they're conscious, they will also reveal not only any traumatic feelings they have, they will also reveal any wisdom they have for you for your journey going forward. So let those seeds grow so you'll have something to harvest later on. The suits die. So the suits die is with these three, and it's the sword. I always love it when there's a triangle because then I'm curious to see how it's all coming together. So, swords are the suit that speak of the wind of the mind and of the concept of logic. It often means that the querent is in a battle carrying two or more thoughts with them and doing their best to determine which of them will come out alive. So, when I see these three together, it speaks to me of any old conflicts you have. You're trying to move forward, but your patterns keep holding you back. You think you're doing okay, and then you get triggered again. And remember that this is about finding compassion, understanding at soul level that we choose the experiences we have with others in order to learn, and realizing they're doing the best they can with what they know, and they agreed to work on this journey with you. So, how do you get over the conflict? Gratitude. What have I learned because of these experiences that I get to carry forward? You don't have to be in conflict, you don't have to be at war, but you don't bury that. You stay open to continue to learn from your previous experiences and grow in compassion to the people who've hurt you in the past, because the only way they have any power over you now is through hatred toward them. I'm not saying don't acknowledge anger or fear or grief or shame. These emotions are tied into trauma and we need to acknowledge them. And it's okay to be angry at somebody who's hurt you. But lay down your sword and say, fine, but that trauma, that event is over. How do I support the part of me still in trauma to realize I love it, I care for it, I'm there for it, I'm listening, I'm going to give it now what it needs in order for it to come to consciousness and become a valuable, valid part of my life, not something stuck in the past. And if you don't know how to access those parts of your psyche, that's my forte. I can teach you how to do that, how to connect with them directly and support them to come to consciousness. So there's more of you present, living your life with wisdom because you've done that unpacking and you've done that integral. Okay. The summer die. The summer die sits right here And it is the star and it is within. That's what we see right there. And it said it speaks to the hopes we carry with us. Oh, goodness. So, what I see here is we're moving from the present, having done enough work to say, okay, I have a sense about myself, I have a sense where I'm going with this, and I have hope that will carry me into this future, into this metamorphosis, that even if it's a challenging one, I can move through it and I can move towards transformation. When the butterfly is in the chrysalis, that's a pretty cramped situation. It's probably really uncomfortable, but it has the hope that its world is going to expand along with it as as it unfolds its wings, that there's space to unfold them into. So if things are challenging right now as you're working on putting all these pieces together to move forward into a transformation, maintain hope that you too will bloom, you too will come out of your chrysalis. And sometimes the dumpster fire is the people around you who don't get the change and give you a hard time about that. And part of the work is to let go of pleasing everybody and show up as yourself, knowing that as you do, more and more people who also want to show up honestly are going to be drawn to you. And the ones who want to wear masks are either going to have to shift to be as open or they're going to shift away. But you don't have control over that. You do have a say over doing the work. That's what we're here to do, or you wouldn't be watching me. Okay, it's so interesting to me that we've gone through all these die, and we do have a few more left. But one of the last ones is the core die, and we're going to see how it's affecting everything. So it is called Memento. It might be hard to see this, but it's like a cameo of a woman. So it says it is a locket, a brooch, a choker. What die wears it around its neck or on its breast pinned so neatly? Is it the bearer of the reminder of our mortality, or is it the reminder itself? Determining the difference may help you use it well and not be used by it instead. So I think this comes back to what I was saying earlier. Don't let your transformation be something you wear like a medal. It's not nothing you have to suppress or feel bad about, but it's also not something to be attached to and flaunt. Because as soon as you go, oh my God, I've accomplished all this, you basically the danger is you will stop there and not keep growing. So don't spend so much time patting yourself on the back that you don't go, okay, and what's next? The wounds die, and we have this little figure that's bent over. It says gutted. It shows up under fated. And it speaks to someone who feels so utterly destroyed, empty, often from a betrayal or a blindsiding and horrible surprise. An element of surprise, not having suspected the situation, is almost always necessary for this feeling. And it says it's a shallow experience. It's being absolutely devastated by something you should have known about that you have no business being this destroyed over. So when I see that showing up under fated, it's interesting because this one's all about pleasure and this one's the gutted feeling. So what it's saying is what is fated is you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. That's life. Stop trying to get to just feeling good all the time. In fact, if you can become equanimous, which means you can allow yourself to feel all feelings equally without attaching to any or pushing any away, you have freedom because you're not trying to prevent yourself from having pain. You're growing from it instead. And you're not attaching when pleasure comes along. You're just allowing yourself to fully experience it. It can be a really weird thing that you might be having a pleasurable experience and at the same time be going, when's the other shoe going to drop? When's this going to go bad for me? And you actually tarnish the pleasurable experience because you're not in the present. You're not just allowing yourself to have it. You're already worried about it being over, or something bad happens and you're like, oh my God, is this going to go on forever? It's going to be terrible. It's just going to be forever. And again, you added pain to your pain instead of this is what is occurring in the moment. pleasurable or not, this is what's occurring. I'm going to fully embrace it because no matter what, it's something I can grow from. Because even the pleasurable experiences we can grow from. Am I attaching to this? Am I trying to constantly recreate this? Or can I just have what's in the moment? It's like the story of the farmer whose his crops burned to the ground, and the neighborhood goes, "Oh, that's terrible." He goes, "Maybe yes, maybe no," and then birds fly in and drop all kinds of seeds, and a new healthier crop grows. His horse goes lame. Oh, that's terrible. Maybe yes, maybe no. But the horse had gone lame running and came back with half a dozen other horses. So, there's all those. What the farmer is doing is demonstrating that he's just accepting what is and not attaching. So, when we look at this overall, it's saying there's a lot of growth happening, a lot of pulling together the pieces from this year into something fairly holistic. But don't get stuck on getting the work finished. Just, okay, this is what's happened so far. Yay. Take a moment to congratulate yourself. And then what's the next piece? What's next? Just keep going. And the more you do this work, the subtler it will become. So, hope you guys got what you needed out of this today. I'm certainly watching everything unfold in a really clear manner using the Publishing Goblins Oracle dice. I love this set so much. Um, If you are feeling stuck and you would like to do some work, I am available at my lovely office in the Old City Quarter of Nanaimo. I'm also available on Zoom 7 days and evenings a week. So you can just go to my website, bonitapsychiccoach.com, and set up a time to see me. And I can help you go deeper on your journey and get more out of it. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for your patience. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Oh, you're very welcome, Carol. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, everybody who popped in today.